Team Junior events kicked off a week of public consciousness about equality, peace, and freedom, locally and around the world.
Recent news that North Korea may be using the threat of nuclear arms production to leverage assistance from other countries reminds one Lewiston man of his experience with that country. He recently told us about the sacrifices already made in the search for peace with the North.
Lewiston's Richard Hayward has stood on the line between freedom and totalitarianism. From 1974 to early '76, Hayward was in the U.S. Army, stationed at the border between democratic South Korea and the communist North. From what he has heard, the differences between North and South haven't changed in those 28 years.
Since they're still a totalitarian country, one of the things I walked away with being a young 18-year-old there is an appreciation of freedom. These people have absolutely no freedom there. Their media is completely controlled by the government.
Hayward says he drove many VIPs, including U.S. senators, into the border town of Panmunjom. There, he provided security as government officials tried to negotiate further on the 1953 ceasefire that ended the shooting in the Korean War, but did not officially end the war. Hayward says the goal of the North is to disrupt progress and find a way to provoke conflict. Then they can bring the Koreas back together under totalitarian rule.
Very tense. It's not every day that you lose your company commander to have his head cut off. Not every day that you see your major getting his throat crushed by North Koreans.
Hayward says the driver of this North Korean truck tried to run him down just after this photo was taken for a U.S. military newspaper. One of his commanding officers was killed in a booby trap explosion. The decapitation Hayward mentioned was during an argument over whether a particular tree in the area could be chopped down. Other arguments were over the relative sizes of flags to be displayed at negotiations.
They want the upper hand everywhere on anything. But I was there in the melee with Major Henderson when he got his throat crushed. And that was a scary situation because, everyone's got guns. It's just a fist fight right now. When's it going to break out into a gun battle?
He says the Koreans encountered at the border were apparently taught to hate Americans. Hayward says the American soldiers stationed there were instructed to keep their cool and not let fights escalate to shooting. He says it was the best they could do to avoid another shooting war.
They always wanted to say we were provoking something. And our biggest asset is that we would take pictures and present them. They would take pictures of us and they'd present them. And it was just a constant bickering between the two sides. I would like to think that we maintained the peace.
Hayward says he hasn't heard of violent incidents there in recent years, but he does say that with his experience in witnessing negotiations in the North, it can be extremely difficult.
All right, nice story, John and Lisa. We're having some nice weather if you're interested in
skiing.